Okay, so let's look at this paper, 2023 WA Term 2, Paper 1. Okay, so it's a full paper. There's Paper 1 and Paper 2. Alright. Okay, so just take note for Paper 1, usage of calculator is not allowed. Alright, so we have to practice the workings without a calculator. Let's find the first question first. A solid cuboid of height 12 cm has a square base of side 4 cm. What is its volume? Okay, so the fact that they say it's a square base means this one is a square. Alright, and that also means if this is 4 cm, the breadth here is also 4 cm. Okay, so to take note, 4 here, here also 4. Alright, so now easy that we can find the volume, length times the breadth times the height. So 4 times 4 times 12. Okay, so this should gives us 192. Alright, so option 4 is your answer. Question 2, given that the base of triangle ABC is BC. So they have given us the base, they have defined the base as this. Let me highlight out. So this is the base. So what is the corresponding height? Okay, so although the question has given us two sets of perpendicular lines, they have shown us two right angles here. You should choose wisely which of this set will be helpful in getting the height. Because since they have identified and established this as the base already, your height must be perpendicular to this yellow color base. Okay, and remember the height must be dropped down from the corner that's opposite this base. So if you look at the triangle, there are three corners in the triangle, B, C, and A. Notice A is the corner that's opposite the yellow base. So your height must be dropped down from A. So AD. AD will be a perpendicular height that's perpendicular to BC. Okay, so this is your heights. Although AD is not touching BC, but they are still perpendicular to each other. That is the condition you need to fulfill. Okay, so option 1 is your answer. Okay, find the value of 5 over 8 times 7 over 10. So 5 over 8 times 7 over 10. Alright, so use your cancellation method first if you can, because that helps you simplify the final answer immediately. So 8 and 7, these two you can't cancel. They have no common factor to divide away. 5 and 10, both can divide by 5. Correct? So I will divide by 5 to those two. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is a 2. So with that, we can take top times top, bottom times bottom. So 7 times 1 is 7. 8 times 2 is a 16. So immediately this answer will give you the simplest form. Okay, Charles has 30, David has 25. Find the ratio of David to the total of both of them. So if they want ratio of what to what, you write down that title first. We want David to the total. Okay, so throw the numbers underneath the title. David has 25, so I just throw that underneath D. I need the total, which is 30 plus 25. You can just put that here. Let's go ahead to evaluate this. 25 to 55. Okay, both are numbers that can divide by 5. Both numbers ends with 5, so quite obvious, divide by 5, which will be 5 to 11. Okay, and that's the simplest form, 5 to 11. So pretty straightforward. Okay, question 5. In the number line, what is the value represented by 8? Okay, so notice that we have 8 here, we have 10 here all the way at the end. So I suppose what will be in the center, the long line here would be a 9 for sure. Right, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so immediately you can cross out the first two answers already lah, because A is after 9. So this one shows 8 whole, which is out. Alright, now the next thing is, okay, if you look at between 9 to 10, alright, if you don't know how to break up the fraction, you don't know what is, represented by all these little lines, what you can use is intervals concept. Okay, so how to apply intervals concept? I'll look at between 9 to 10, count how many intervals are there. Interval means the gaps, the number of gaps. So if you count there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 intervals. Okay, so I know that 6 intervals. How do I know what 6 intervals? 6 intervals will be 10 minus 9. You take the difference between the two ends, 10 minus 9, which is 1. So if I want to find out one interval, you just need to do your division. Be careful, one interval is 1 divided by 6, not 6 divided by 1. Okay, so it's 1 over 6. Or if you don't like to write it as a fraction first, you can write out a division. But if you notice, a division is the same as a fraction, which is 1 over 6. Okay, so every one interval, it moves forward by 1 over 6. So I think it's pretty obvious already. To find A, you just take 9 plus 1 over 6, which of course is 9 whole and 1 over 6, which is option 4. Okay, we're moving on to booklet B. This one also same thing, not allowed. You're not allowed to use the calculator. Okay, so this is order of operations, right? So let's do the multiplication and the division first, based on the order of operations rule. So this one and this one can do it at the same time. So 3 times 4, this is a 12. 6 divided by 2, this is a 3. If you need to rewrite it, go ahead, rewrite it. Okay, so 20 minus 12 plus 3. Now, when you're left with subtraction and addition have the same ranking in your order of operations. So you should do it from left to right. First come, first serve. If from left to right, subtraction appears first, do that first. If from left to right, addition here appears here first, do the addition first. Okay, so now subtraction appears first, settle this one first. 20 minus 12 is an 8, then plus 3 carry down. This will simply be 11. Next one, ratio of Clara to Davy. So Clara to Davy, I'll first record that down. C to D, 3 to 8. Clara has $21. So looking at the ratio, Clara has 3 units. Ratio, just read it as units. In other words, 3 units is the $21. Of course, I can find 1 unit. They want how much Davy has. Looking at the ratio, Davy has 8 units. So $7 times the 8. Okay, so that's the answer, $56. Next one, find the area of triangle shown below. So looking at the triangle, we have a right angle in this corner here. That right angle will help you determine the base and the height of the triangle to be used. Okay, so of course, I will use the base as the 5 and the perpendicular height will be the 12. Alright, so now you can apply your area of triangle formula, half times your base times your height. I'll put 12 first because 12 and 2 later can cancel. 5 cannot since it's odd number. Remember to do this without the calculator. So 2 and 12 both can divide by 2. This one becomes 6, right? Okay, so with that, then I can multiply 1 times 6 times 5, which is a 30. Next, express 15 over 4 as a decimal. Okay, so there are a few ways to do this. For me, what I'll do first is I will check if I can change the denominator to either a 10, 100, or 1000. 4 is a very classic number. They like to test using 4. 4, you can actually change to 100. How to change to 100? Just need to multiply by 25. Now, of course, then you realize, right, when you multiply 25, the top also must multiply 25. Then you have to do two-digit working, 15 times 25. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. But since I've observed that 15 times 25 is a bit more troublesome, what I will then try to do is to change this to a mixed number then, so that it makes my life easier. Okay, I don't have to do like with like 2-digit times 2-digit. All right, so change this to a mixed number. It should be a 3 wholes and 3/4. Right. Then I can go ahead to multiply 25 so that I can Don't need to work with such huge numbers really. So 3 whole, and this will be 75 over 100. Okay, 75 over 100 is 0.75. So you together with the 3 wholes, simply is 3.75. Okay, ratio of stickers that Edward has to the stickers Ahmad has is 1 to 4. So I'll start off with that ratio. Edward to Ahmad, 1 is to 4. Now, the number of stickers Ahmad has is 160. How many stickers must Ahmad give to Edward so that both of them have the same number of stickers in the end? Okay, so since they have given us a change, they have said Ahmad give to Edward so that both have the same in the end. I will just do a before change after with ratio first. I don't want to care about the 160 first. Okay, so I focus on creating before, change, and after. So I draw an arrow. Ahmad giving to Edward, so Edward is receiving, but I don't know how many he received, so plus question mark. Ahmad don't know how many he give away, so minus question mark. So that both of them have the same. Now, when both people have the same in the end, means the simplest ratio between these two people will be 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, so now I will try to identify the common base. Whenever you have recorded all your ratios with your before, change, and after, ask yourself what stays the same throughout this whole thing. So I hope you all observe this transfer is Ahmad giving to Edward, which we call this an internal transfer. We have internal transfer versus external transfer. This one will be internal because it's just between A and E. It's just between these two guys. Okay, so that means between these two guys, the thing that stays the same throughout is the total. The total remains the same throughout. Okay, so I hope you all notice that. So total remains the same throughout. Alright, so with this in mind, we are going to create our total as the common base. So I'm going to include dot dot total dot dot total. If you don't have space here, it's okay. You can put it in front of E dot dot, then total the word in front there. That's fine. Okay, so my total here will be E plus A, which is 1 plus 4, 5. The other side, 1 plus 1, which is 2. So between 5 and 2, since we agreed that the total stays the same throughout, 5 and 2, you got to change them into a common multiple, which is 10 units. And of course, means we can proceed to change for the other numbers. So this whole thing times 2, the other side whole thing times 5. Underline the common base once it's done. Okay, once common base settled already, you can now work with the 160. The number of stickers Ahmad has is 160. This is before the transfer. Before Ahmad give away the stickers to Edward. So before means here. Look at Ahmad. Ahmad is 8 units. Must use the latest units. Do not use back the 4 already. Because you have done a common base to unite the ratios together. So now I can simply say 8 units will be the 160. Okay, this is what Ahmad has. Alright, so work out 1 unit. Now we are interested in the question mark. How many stickers Ahmad give to Edward? You can choose you want to work with Edward or you want to work with Ahmad. It's up to you. Okay, let's say I decided to work with Ahmad. If you look at Ahmad, he has 8 units at first, but he only has 5 units in the end. Okay, so that means he has lost or given away 3 units. How do I get 3? I just use his 8U minus the 5U. And with that, you can work out what is the 3 units that he has given away. And that's it. This will be the 60 stickers he has given away. Okay, so this step, maybe let me just highlight this 8u minus 5u. I'm using a mud as my guide to do the subtraction. If you decide to use add word, it should give you the same 3 units. You don't believe, you check. Add word at first is 2u. In the end, after he receives stickers, he has 5u. So 5u minus 2u, that means he has received 3 units of stickers. And it's the same 3 units that we're looking at. Okay, question 11. The figure below shows 6 unit cubes stacked to form this solid. They have they have tell you that this is the top view, side view, front view. So you need to draw the side and the top view. Okay, let's start with the side view first. So side view means if your eye was looking from this direction, okay, what are the faces of the squares that you would have observed? So if you look at this side first, you notice you should observe 2 squares stacked above and bottom. So this and this square. Okay, so I'll start off with that one. 1 and 2. Okay, now then the next one will be these 2 squares in the middle column, which is right beside the 2 squares that I've drawn earlier. And lastly, the most left-hand side is just the 1 square at the bottom row. Okay, so that's it. From the side view, this is what you are looking at. Now let's look at the top view. Okay, so top view will be if you are looking from above. How do the squares appear to look like? Okay, so let's look at the first column first. You have 1, 2, and 3. You notice you have 3 squares. You're looking at 3 squares in the first column, stacked in this manner. Okay, next one will be here. This only 1 square connected to the top square here. So that's it. This is your top view. Okay, question 12. Mandy had 8 kg of sugar. She used 3/4 of it to bake cookies and gave 5-6 kg of sugar to her mother. How much sugar left? So take note. This says 3/4 of it. This one, the other one, 5-6, it says kg. Okay, so you need to be able to differentiate these 2 types of fraction that are presented. The one with kg, you have to see as a mass. The one without kg, it says 3/4 of it, you have to read this as units. That means out of 4 units of my sugar, I use 3 units to bake cookies. Whereas this 5/6 is already a mass because it has a kg there. You don't see this as 5 units out of 6 units. No, don't see it as units. Okay, so now the thing is, we do not know the mass that is used for the cookies. They never say 3/4 kg. They say 3/4 of it. That means out of 4 units, I use 3 units to bake cookies. All right, so let's find the mass that was used for the cookies first. In kg, yeah? Now, how do we find the mass in this 3/4? So when they say 3/4 of it, this it, they are referring to the original 8 kg at first. That means 3/4 of the 8 kg. So 3/4 of 8 kg means I can simply take 3/4 multiplied by the 8 kg to find out the mass inside the 3 units. Okay, so if you work this out, 3/4 times 8, you can use the cancellation method here. Okay, sorry, let me just write this properly. This will be 3/4 times 8. Okay, so that means if I cancel this, this will be a 2. Alright, so if you work this out, this would give us a 6 kg. That means inside this 3/4, I've successfully find out that 3 units is 6 kg of cookies. Sorry, 6 kg of sugar worth used to bake the cookies. Okay, so alternatively, some of you may want to do this. If you can tell me, say, oh, 4 units is 8 kg, that's fine. Good. 4 units is 8 kg. Then you find 1 unit, which is 2 kg. And then 3/4 means 3 units, right? That is 6 kg. This is fine also. Okay, but of course you notice this is a longer way. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, for giving to her mother, so mother we already know it's 5 over 6 kg, right? So make sure just leave this as 5 over 6 kg. Do not go and use what 5 over 6 times 8. That is wrong. This is already the mass that was calculated. So how much left? Okay, so I think we can simply add together what she gave to her mother and what she used. So 6 kg plus 5 over 6 kg. You see, if I know it's kg, write down the kg. To remind yourself, those fractions are already the mass. So if I want to find out left, you can now do the subtraction. Use at first minus the 6 whole and 5 6 kg. Now remember when you subtract using a whole number minusing a mixed number, you got to reconvert the 8 kg to a mixed number first. We've done this many times before. So 8 convert to a mixed number, you can pull out one whole, you're left with 7 whole, and 6 over 6 kg. Then of course the minus 656 just copy back down, no change. Okay, so what we've done is we have just reconverted this 8 to this one. Okay, then now we can safely subtract already. So this will give us 1 whole and 1 over 6 kg left. Okay, questions like that are pretty commonly tested, yeah, because they at P5 level, they want you to be able to differentiate the two types of the fraction. One is measurement, like mass, the other one is units. Okay, question 13. Now, the cost of present was to be shared equally among 8 friends. However, 3 decided not to pay for the present. As a result, the remaining friends each had to pay $126 more for the present. How much did each of the 8 friends have to pay at first? Okay, so let's find out how many people paid in the end. It was supposed to be 8 people paying, but 3 person did not, decided not, they don't want to pay. Okay, those who paid, okay, those who have paid, that means it's actually only 5 people because 8 minus 3. 5 people paid for the present. Now, but because there are now lesser people paying, there are now fewer people paying, that's why these 5 people, now as a result, these remaining 5 people, each person have to pay $126 more for the present. Okay, because initially they decided to buy a certain fixed price present already, then suddenly 3 people back out. They back out, they decided not to pay. So the remaining 5 people, no choice, they have to pay a bit more now to make up for the cost that the 3 people did not want to pay. Okay, so we call that the total additional money paid by the 5 people. PPL means people, short form. Okay, so this total additional money paid by the 5 people will be $126 multiplied by 5, which will be $630. They are paying an extra $630 because of the people who did not want to pay. Okay, so now let's link this $630 back to those 3 people who did not want to pay. I hope everyone can agree that this $630, okay, originally came from the 3 people. Okay, so I'm going to write this note down, and I think you should too. Originally came from the 3 people. And that also means, okay, 3 people originally are supposed to pay $630. But then I can find out one person now. One person was supposed to pay how much money? $630 divided by 3, which is $210. Okay, so this one take note is originally by each person. the original decision that before they buy the present, they decided that okay, each person fork out this money to pay for the present. All right. So now if you look at the last question, they ask you how much did each of the eight friends have to pay at first. So this is it. $210 was what each person must pay at first. So that is your answer. $210. Okay. Okay, question 14. Raju drew three triangles to form a figure as shown. So notice that the big, medium, and small triangle, they are all like stacked on top of each other. The areas of the triangles were in the ratio 1 to 4 to 15. Okay, since they have given us a ratio, I think we should record that down first. So 1, 4, and 15, they are in increasing size order, right? So let's just call it small, medium, large. Okay, small, medium, large, 1 to 4 to 15. He then shaded some parts as shown below. So he has shaded the small and the large one. Okay, but the large one is not the whole thing shaded because it's only the remaining parts not occupied by the medium one. And they say the unshaded area is 33 cm squared. Okay, so this unshaded part, I'm just going to annotate that this is 33 square centimeter. Find the total shaded area of the figure. Okay, so how do we do this? Now, we don't need to do any common base. There's only one ratio. So we can straight away dive into finding out how many units represents the unshaded. Okay, so you notice that the unshaded actually will be your medium triangle minus the small triangle because the small triangle is occupying some space in the medium one. The full medium triangle is supposed to be 4 units, this whole full medium, which includes the small one that's inside medium. Okay, so simply your 4U minus 1U. And that means your 3 units is your 33 square centimeter. Of course, we can work out 1 unit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to annotate down the units which I already know of. Okay, just throw it into the diagram. All right, okay, it's a bit small, the space, but I'll try it. Okay, so the small is 1U. Okay, maybe I should use a darker color for this. Okay, so the small is 1 unit. And I know that this white color part, which is 33, I've calculated it to be 3 units. So I'm just going to put it in there, the white color part. Now, lastly, the remaining shaded parts, these 3 surrounding parts here, okay, we can actually work that out. Those 3 shaded parts here, you notice is actually, you can use the large triangle to minus away the medium triangle. You don't have to minus the small triangle again because you see this as a 2D flat triangle. This medium triangle is within the large triangle. So the full large triangle is 15U. You minus away the medium triangle, which is minusing 4U. Not minus 3U. 3 is only this white color part. So you minus away the 4U. Okay, so let's do that. So 15U minus 4U. Okay, so let's better understand where is the 11 units. Maybe I'll just color it out. So your 11 units here is actually this part, and this part. Okay, those that I've tried to color. Those together, the 3 pink color parts together will be 11 units. All right, and now they want the total shaded area. So you have the pink color 11 units with the small triangle which is shaded 1U. So total shaded. Your shaded is actually 11U plus 1U, which is 12 units shaded. So let's work out 12 units now. Since we already found out 1U is 11, so 11 cm squared times 12, 132. Okay, so that's the answer, 132 square centimeter. All right. Okay, we will now look at paper 2 for the same paper. And for paper 2, you're allowed to use the calculator. Okay. Okay, so question 15. Sandra was given some money to buy some books. If she bought 13 books, she would need $9 more. And if she bought 9 books, she would be left with $15. So I hope you all can recognize that this concept that they're testing is actually what we call the shortage and surplus concept. Okay, which is something that we have done in our regular lessons before. All right. So how do I know the shortage and surplus? Typically, when you give you two different scenarios, and in those two scenarios, usually one will be a shortage of money, and then the other one will be a surplus. Surplus means I've left over excess money. Okay, so if she bought 13 books, $9 more, this is the shortage. I'm short of $9. If she bought 9 books, left with 15, this is the excess or the surplus. All right. So do take note that for these two scenarios, there is something that stays the same throughout. Okay, and the something that stays the same throughout would be the total money that Sandra has. So for questions like that, we're going to use a model to illustrate. I will start off by drawing two models of the same size because these two models represents Sandra's money. Okay, so we'll start off with this. All right, so first model is scenario 1, next one is scenario 2. Now I'm going to do scenario 1 first. Okay, so typically I like to record down the money first. Now she will need $9 more. That means her current money here is not enough. So if I were to gain another $9 more, I would have to extend my $9 outside the model. This is the $9 more. Now, please take note to use dotted lines or dashed lines to add on this $9 because this dotted lines is to tell you that it was newly brought in. It wasn't part of her original money at first. Now, with this extra $9, she can now afford to buy 13 books, right? Okay, because if she decided to buy 13 books, she realized she need another $9 more. So with this extra $9, she can finally afford to buy 13 books. Now, and that also means the cost of 13 books will be throughout the whole thing, including the $9 that she has achieved, that she have extra additionally acquired. All right. Now we're going to go on to scenario 2. If she bought 9 books, she's left with $15. So where do I place the $15? The $15, if it's your left, means it's part of your original money, which means I should put it inside the model. So maybe something like that. This is my $15. So, and where do I put the 9 books? Where would the cost of 9 books be? So the cost of 9 books, it should be from the beginning until this dotted line here, not including $15 because I buy 9 books, then I've left over $15. So my 9 books will be this stretch here. All right. Now, from here, once the model is done, I hope you can tell that the difference between your 9 and your 13 books, which is difference of 4 books, right, is actually from here all the way till the end here. This is the 4 books difference because 13 minus 9. Okay, so if your 13 books ends here, starts here, ends here, right, your 4 books difference must also end off here. Now, notice that with that, we can find the cost of those 4 books. We can work that out. Okay, so how do I work out the cost of 4 books? You have $15 and the $9 here. So these two add together will be the cost of the 4 books. Okay, of course, we can find out the cost of 1 book. Just divide. which is $6. So look at the question again. How much that did each book cost? So there you go. Actually, we have found the cost of one book already. So that be your answer. $6. Okay. Okay, I'll move on to question 16. Let me zoom this out. Okay, tank X measuring 80 by 45 by 70. So measurements are given on the diagram is half filled with water. Tank Y, measurements are given, filled with 12 liters of water. Mr. Neo pours all the water in tank X into tank Y without spilling. How much more water is needed to fill tank Y to its brim? So when you have volume questions that involves water, prioritize calculating the volume of the water first. Do not calculate the capacity of the tank. Okay, capacity of the tank is the last thing you should worry about. All right, so focus on the volume of the things that are inside the containers. Okay, so I think we should focus on tank X water first. Let's find the volume of water in X. Okay, so I'm going to write out volume of water in X. Now, how do I calculate this? So remember, it's half filled. Okay, so measurements are given length times the breadth times the height, but you should also bring in a times half in the same step. Okay, so 80 times 45 times 70, and at the same time, in the same step, times half immediately. Some of you decided to split it up. You do 80 times 45 times 70, and then your next step, you go on to take the answer divide by 2. That's fine. Okay, just that typically when I know it's half filled, I will just do it in the same step. Anyway, you get to use your calculator. All right, so let's calculate this out. So this will be 126,000. Okay, 126,000 cubic centimeters. Let's write out the units also. All right, so this is the water in X. Now, later he's going to combine all the water in X into Y. So currently tank Y, they say is filled with 12 liters of water. Now, please do not go and take 40 times 40 times 100 because they already tell you the water is 12 liters. Like I said, focus on volume of water first. So right now, I know that the volume of water in container Y is 12 liters. Now this is in liters. Just now my X, I found it in cubic centimeters. So I think what we should do is to convert this to cubic centimeters, which will be 12,000 cubic centimeters. Every 1 liter is 1,000 cubic centimeters. Okay. Now, since he's going to pour all the water in X into Y, that means I need to combine these two water together. So combine it together by adding. Okay. And this will give us 138,000 cubic centimeter of water now. All right. Now, if you read on, they ask you how much more water is needed to fill tank Y to its brim. Okay, so that means this 138,000 currently should be, maybe I give you an example, maybe something like that. This is the full 138,000 currently, including the bottom shaded part that was already there. So this, in the airspace here, is what I need to find, how much more to fill to its brim, to the full capacity, okay? Which means that my next step, now I need to find the full capacity of container Y. Then I can find out the how much more, all right? So capacity of container Y. Measurements are given, length times breadth times the height, which is 160,000. Again, this is in cubic centimeter. So you notice that the combined water now is 138,000. but the full capacity is 160,000. So to find out how much more to fill to the brim, you just need to subtract. Okay, so 160,000 minus away the 138,000, which means I can introduce another 22,000 of water to fill to the brim. The question never asked for liters, okay, so I think we can just leave it in cubic centimeter. This is good enough. You want to change it to ml, that's all right as well. Okay, question 17, this is on fractions. Randy spent $189 on a table and 4/9 of his remaining money on the chair. So you have this word remaining, of his remaining, means that you need to likely use a model to solve. Alright, and he had 1/6 of his original sum of money left. How much money did he have at first? So do take note, these two denominators don't represent the same thing. So please do not go and make the denominators the same, because this 9 represents the remaining money. This 6 represents the original sum. Okay, two different things. So do not make denominators the same, yeah? So what is the method to use? You should use a model method to solve this question. Like I said, with the word of the remaining, most likely is use model. Okay, so we're going to draw the full model first, and this full model represents Randy's money at first. Now, in Randy's money, he's going to use $189 on the table. So what we're going to do is we're going to set aside $189. Okay, this is used on a table. Okay, so we're going to label this as table. Now, the next thing we should do is to identify the remainder because of the next phrase here of his remaining. So, of course, the remainder has to be this part here. Okay, and for this remainder, what we're going to do is we are going to redraw the model like what we typically do. We draw the remainder layer into a new layer, and this time we can cut it into 9 parts. Okay, because 9 here, like I said earlier, this is the remaining money. Chair will be the 4. Remainder is the 9. Okay, so let's split it into 9 parts first. Alright, so out of these 9 parts, I will label 4 parts for the chair. Now, there's nothing else that he spends on. In fact, they give you he had 1/6 of his original money left. So I suppose the left will be, of course, the last 5 units here. So we can label that out. Okay, so this one will be left. Okay, so now the thing is, the question also said that 1/6 of the original sum of money left. Okay, so let's understand this 1/6 thing first. All right, now 1/6 here, okay, is of course the leftover money. This is the information provided by the question. Okay, so I want everyone to first understand what is the 1 representing, what is the 6 representing first. Okay, so I hope everyone can agree 1 is the left. Because if you read the sentence, 1/6 of the original sum left. Left is the 1 part. And of course, the denominator 6 represents the total, the original total, because of the word of his original sum. Okay, so you can put the word original or you can put the word total, up to you. Right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these two information because I have two information for the left. The first information is the 1/6. The second information is my model information. Okay, and you notice that since the numerator here says left is 1 unit, However, my model, as you can see, it doesn't say 1 unit for left. It says there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units for left. Model says 5 units, but information here says 1 unit. So what you need to do is to make adjustments either to the model or you make adjustments to this fraction to make sure the left units matches each other. So in this case, of course, I will make adjustment to this one, not to the model. Okay, so I make adjustment to this one, change this left to make it the same as the model 5 units. So let's proceed to do that. Okay, so we need to change that to 5 over something. How to change to 5? Of course, times 5. So this one times 5. Bottom also must times 5. So this will become 5 over 30. So now this is still the left information. This is your total units now. Okay, so what I want to try to tell everyone here is that now the information here, 5, and the 5 here now matches each other. Okay, you notice 5 units left, 5 units left. Which means now you can safely rely on your 30 units as your new total units. Okay, so new total will now be 30U. Alright, so in this case, of course, each of this will be treated as 1U, 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 right? Because of 5 units lah. I need 5U, same as the numerator, so of course each will be 1U. Okay, can write the same for the rest. Alright, which means that now I can count the remainder. Remainder, if you count how many 1U's are there, there should be 9 sets of 1U, so remainder will of course be 9U. And since my new total is 30U, can you see now we can calculate the units for the table? Okay, so if I were to calculate units for table, it will simply be using the total of 30U minus of the remainder 9U, which is 21 units. Okay, that means now I know that this 21 units will be this part here. And there we go. We can now solve 1U. So 21U is $189. We can now find 1 unit, which is $9. Now the question says how much at first. So at first means everything. Remember, everything, just use your total units, which is 30 units. So you just need to calculate 30 units, which is $9 times 30. And that would be the answer, $270. Okay, so the most challenging part for this question is understanding how to make adjustments to the model or to the fraction to make sure the units for the left tally with each other. Okay, question 18. So Mrs. Ho baked some cookies. She sold 1/5 of her cookies and an additional 8 cookies on Monday. Okay, so take note, Monday she sold 1/5 with extra 8. And she sold 2/3 of the remaining and an additional 5 cookies on Tuesday. Again, you see the word of the remaining, like the previous question. So it means that you have to draw a model. You can't make the denominators the same, because the two denominators don't represent the same things. Okay, and she gave the rest 31 to Mrs. Lim. How many did she bake at first? All right, so we are going to start off by drawing the 5 units. She sold 1/5 of her cookie, so the 5 represents her total that she baked at first. Let me just redraw this. All right, so let's try to draw a little bit bigger. so that later when we drop down the remainder model, it doesn't get too small. Okay, so out of these 5 units, we are going to label one part with additional 8 cookies on Monday. So you need to reserve aside 1 unit following this fraction with another 8 cookies. So the additional 8 cookies will have to go into the second unit. I will have no choice but to cut it in the second unit. Try to cut it at an irregular spot, something like that. Don't cut it right in the middle. Then it looks like half of a unit already, which may not be true. Okay, so this will be for Monday. You see, 1/5 and 8. And I forgot to mention, please use dotted lines to cut this. Do not use solid line because you may accidentally forget how your original 1 unit looks like. But if you use dotted line, then you can still maintain the image of how 1 unit should actually be. All right. Now, the next thing is to identify your remainder. So, of course, the remainder must start from the dotted line here. And all the way to the end, this is your remainder. So moving on from here, we have to redraw the remainder so that we can safely cut it into 3 parts, as stated in the fraction there. Okay, so I'm going to cut it into 3 equal parts, like this. Now, she's going to sell 2/3, so 2 units I set aside for Tuesday, but with also an additional 5 cookies. So after I set aside 2 units for Tuesday, your additional 5 must go into the third unit. If you find it difficult to visualize this, you can draw an arrow first to set aside 2 units first. And then you realize your additional 5 cookies you must continue extending the arrow. Okay, maybe something like that. So this is your Tuesday. And of course, you can drop down a dotted line again. And then your 5 will be here. You see, 2 units with additional 5 for Tuesday. And lastly, we know that she gave the rest of her 31 cookies to Mrs. Lim. So the 31 to Mrs. Lim has to be this one. Okay, so my model done. So once model settled already, you notice that you can start working with the 31 and the 5. 31 and 5 together will be for this big unit here. Okay, so we're just going to work that out. So 31 plus 5, 36. And that also means 36 will be for each of this big unit. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to take 36 multiplied by 3. Because the whole bottom layer is made out of 3 sets of 36. Okay, so 108 is this whole thing, this whole remainder. So now we're going to work our way upwards towards the top layer. And that also means from the dotted line till the end. It's the same 108 that we're talking about because it's the same remainder model that I redraw just now earlier, that I dropped it down. So if this whole set is 108 means dotted line to here, the whole remainder is 108. Okay, so since that's something we have identified, we can label that 108. All right. Now notice then your 108. Now focus on the top layer. You notice that your 108, you can combine it with the 8 here to get 4 units at the top layer. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this 4 units at the top is 8 plus 108. Which is 116. And of course, to find the value of 1 unit at the top, we can divide it by 4, which is 29. Every time you all found 1 unit for such question, the best you should do is to annotate in model. Okay, so 29 will be the unit at the top layer. So do take note, bottom unit and top unit, obviously they have 2 different sizes, and that also means the values are different. Okay, so now we want to find how many did she bake at first. At first means the whole stretch. And the whole stretch, if you count, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've cut into 5 parts earlier. So simply take your 29 times 5. which is 145. Okay, so that would be our answer for this question. Okay, question 19. Betty sold brownies at $3 each. For every 5 brownies purchased, she gave 2 free brownies to her customers. Okay, so when you read this sentence, it should remind you of grouping concept. Every time I buy 5, I give 2 free. I buy another 5, I give another 2 free. This is always a set, a combination, a group together. Okay, on Friday, she sold and gave away a total of 240 brownies. Okay, so what was the largest possible number of brownies given free on Friday? So we are going to draw one group first. Okay, we're going to illustrate what goes into that one group. So the one group will be this information. Every 5 purchase, I give away 2 free to my customers. All right, so I can write buy 5 brownies. Okay, it will be free 2 brownies. So this is how my one group looks like. All right. Now on Friday, she sold and gave away a total of 240 brownies. Okay, so what this means is that my sold and the giving away together, that means what people pay and what I give away for free together is 240. Okay, so obviously it tells me that one group is not enough. So our aim is to find out how many of such groups are there. All right. So to find number of groups, notice first in one group, what you sell and what you give away for free together, can you see is 7 brownies? Okay, 7 brownies. Maybe we should use the word sell here, not buy, because I'm the seller. Betty is the seller, so I sell 5 cookies. I give away 2 free. Okay, so together I have 7 brownies that I'm selling plus giving away. So one group, we're going to settle the step for one group first. In one group, 7 brownies. Okay, but since on Friday I sell and give away 240, it must mean that I have many groups to achieve that. Okay, so it's simply 240 divided by 7 in one row. Okay, so grouping method is with something that we have come across many times. So you must be able to recognize how to know when it's a grouping concept. Okay, now guys, if you key in your calculator, right, you should get 34.28571 and so on. It's a long decimal. Remember, since we are finding groups, you cannot write down the whole decimal. You should only write down the 34 that's in front of the decimal and then go on to create remainder. Okay, so since the purpose of this division is to find groups and you know number of groups should only be a whole number, you cannot write the full decimal out. You should only write the 34 groups, remainder something. So we are going to calculate what is the remainder. So to calculate remainder, you simply use 34 times 7. This is division. If you do the backwards opposite, is 34 times 7. That means you're finding out 34 groups of 7 brownies. So let's calculate that. 34 times 7, you can punch into your calculator. 34 times 7 is 238. After which, you take your 240 minus 238, and you should get a remainder 2. Okay, so the 34, what does the 34 mean? Let's recap. This 34 means the number of groups. That's our aim in this division. Whereas the 2 here, the remainder 2 will be the number of brownies. Now, and what does this 2 mean? Is it 2 brownies that I give away for free, or does it mean 2 brownies that I sell to people? Okay, so you must understand this 2 is the brownies that I sell, not give away for free. Brownies sold. Let's add in this word sold. Okay, because If I have a remainder two brownies means it wasn't enough to form one full group for me to give away two brownies. It must have mean that these two brownies is what customers pay me. Okay, just that maybe that customer didn't buy five brownies, like that's why it doesn't form a full group. The customer only decided to buy two brownies, which is fine. Okay, so we call that like individual a la carte brownies, not a set. All right. Now let's look at part A. What was the largest possible number of brownies given free on Friday? So let's look back at one group. Since we are interested in the number of free brownies, look at one group free brownies. In one group, okay, the number of free brownies, as we can see, is two free brownies. But since I have sold 34 groups, we can find out how many free brownies I've given out across the 34 groups. So you see my labeling, I've written it very clearly. I put bracket free because our focus is on the free brownies now, since that's what the question wants. So which means 34 multiplied by 2. And this remainder 2, like I said, this is the sold one. It doesn't form a group, so you can ignore this in your final answer. So our answer will simply be 68 free brownies. Okay, now B. What was the least possible amount of money collected from the 240 brownies she sold and gave away on Friday? Okay, this should be on, not off. Grammar error. Okay, so now our focus is on the money that I'm collecting. Okay, now let's look at one group first. I want to find out how much money did I collect when I sell one group of brownies. So in one group, customers pay me for five brownies. The free two brownies don't count lah because I give away for free. They shouldn't pay me for that two, right? Okay, so in one group, it is equivalent to them paying me. Okay, so I'll put collected. Collected means the money. Okay, so each brownie is $3. Remember this for the first sentence. Every brownie I sell to customers, they pay me $3. But since I sell five brownies per group, that means I'm collecting $15 for one group. Like I said, the two brownies don't collect money lah. Okay, so every one group I get to collect $15. Please put down the dollar sign to remind yourself this is the money that's involved, not the number of brownies. Okay, now remember from previously, out of the 240 brownies, I sell 34 groups. So let's find out how much do I collect across the 34 groups. Again, to be specific, put down the word collected. So one group I collect $15, 34 groups means $15 times 34. Which means customers pay me $510 altogether across these 34 groups. Okay, now remember just now the remainder two brownies. We discussed earlier, these two brownies is what customers pay me. It's sold, not the free ones. So let's find out how much am I collecting from that customer who pay me for these two brownies. A brownie is $3. Okay, so the two brownies from the remainder earlier on will be 2 times $3. This is part of your money collection, not free, yeah? Okay, so finally I can find out the total money collected, your 34 groups of money plus the $6 together. So that will be $516. So this is the amount of money I'm collecting. Okay, and we have come to the end of the paper, so I hope this has been helpful.